Success does not arrive with applause. It does not knock on your door because you wished for it, prayed for it, or talked about it long enough. Success waits in silence, watching every decision you make, measuring every promise you keep to yourself, and asking one question that changes everything. Are you finished making excuses? The distance between the person you are today and the person you dream of becoming is rarely measured by talent, intelligence, or luck. It is measured by the stories you tell yourself when life becomes uncomfortable. I'm too tired. It's too late. I don't have enough money. Someone else had more opportunities. These words may sound harmless, but they quietly become the chains that hold extraordinary people inside ordinary lives. Every excuse feels reasonable in the moment, yet every excuse steals another piece of your future. The world has never promised perfect conditions, and history has never rewarded those who waited for them. It remembers those who stood up when everything around them suggested sitting down. It celebrates those who chose discipline over comfort, faith over fear, and action over hesitation. There comes a moment in every life when you must stop negotiating with your potential and start demanding more from yourself. That moment is not tomorrow. It is not next Monday or next year. It is now, because the greatest transformation does not begin when circumstances improve. It begins the instant excuses lose their voice and determination becomes louder. Today is not about blaming your past or denying your struggles. It is about discovering the incredible power that has been waiting beneath every reason you've ever given for standing still. When excuses end, success no longer feels impossible. It becomes inevitable. Every dream begins as a quiet possibility, but it remains only a possibility when excuses are allowed to speak louder than purpose. Excuses are rarely loud or dramatic. They often arrive in a calm, reasonable voice that tells you to wait a little longer, to prepare a little more, or to believe that the timing simply is not right. They disguise themselves as logic, convincing you that your circumstances are unique and your delays are justified. Over time, these explanations become habits, and those habits slowly build invisible walls around your greatest ambitions. The tragedy is not that people fail because they lack talent. It is that they never discover how capable they truly are because they surrender to the comfort of excuses before giving themselves a real chance. Dreams are never imprisoned by difficult circumstances alone. They are imprisoned by the belief that circumstances have the final word. Many people spend years blaming their past, their finances, their education, or the opinions of others for the life they have not created. While those challenges may be real, they do not have the authority to define the future unless they are given permission. Every excuse hands over a piece of personal power to something outside your control. The moment you say, I can't because, you quietly accept limits that may never have existed in the first place. Success demands a different conversation, one where responsibility replaces blame and determination replaces hesitation. The human mind has an incredible ability to adapt to whatever story it repeats most often. If you continually tell yourself that you are too old, too young, too inexperienced, or too unlucky, your actions will eventually reflect those beliefs. You will hesitate when opportunities appear, avoid challenges that could help you grow, and settle for less than you deserve because your excuses have convinced you that greatness belongs to someone else. Yet history consistently reminds us that extraordinary achievements have often been born in the most ordinary and difficult circumstances. The difference was never the absence of obstacles. The difference was the refusal to let obstacles become permanent excuses. Excuses also create a dangerous illusion of progress. Planning without action feels productive. Talking about goals feels inspiring. Waiting for motivation feels responsible. But none of these replace the simple act of beginning. Dreams require movement, not perfection. Every day spent explaining why something cannot be done is another day that could have been spent taking one small step forward. Small actions, repeated consistently, possess far greater power than endless explanations. Progress belongs to those who choose movement, even when they cannot see the entire path ahead. There is a hidden cost to every excuse that few people recognize. It is not only the opportunity that is lost, but also the confidence that disappears with it. Every promise broken to yourself weakens your trust in your own ability to follow through. Eventually, you begin to doubt not because you are incapable, but because you have repeatedly chosen comfort over commitment. Confidence is not created by positive thinking alone. It is built by keeping the promises you make to yourself, especially when those promises require effort, sacrifice, and persistence. Imagine what becomes possible when excuses no longer control your decisions. The same energy once spent defending your limitations can now be invested in developing your strengths. The same time once wasted explaining delays can now be used to build skills, solve problems, and create opportunities. Your dreams stop feeling distant because every action brings them closer. Fear may still exist, uncertainty may still remain, and challenges may still appear, but none of them possess the power to imprison a determined mind that has chosen responsibility over rationalization. The prison door has never been locked from the outside. It is always open from within. The moment a person decides that no excuse is more valuable than the future waiting to be created. The greatest turning point in any person's life is not when the world changes, but when they stop waiting for the world to change and begin accepting responsibility for the direction of their own life. Personal responsibility is not about carrying the weight of every hardship that has ever happened to you. It is about recognizing that while you cannot always control your circumstances, you can always choose your response to them. That realization is where true freedom begins. The moment you stop pointing at obstacles and start looking within yourself for answers, you discover a strength that has been there all along, waiting to be awakened. Many people spend years believing that someone else holds the key to their success. They wait for encouragement from family, recognition from employers, approval from friends, or the perfect opportunity to appear. They convince themselves that life will improve once the right person notices them or the right situation arrives. But this way of thinking quietly places your future in someone else's hands. Freedom cannot exist where responsibility has been surrendered. The moment you reclaim ownership of your choices, you reclaim ownership of your destiny. You no longer become a passenger in your own story. You become the author of it. Accepting responsibility requires courage because it removes every comfortable excuse. It asks you to admit that some opportunities were missed because of hesitation, that some failures came from poor decisions, and that some dreams remained unfinished because consistent effort was replaced with temporary comfort. This truth may feel uncomfortable, but it is also incredibly empowering. If your choices helped create your current reality, then new choices can create a different future. That realization transforms regret into possibility and disappointment into determination. Personal responsibility also changes the way you see failure. Instead of treating failure as proof that you are not capable, you begin to see it as information. Every setback becomes a lesson instead of a life sentence. Every mistake becomes an opportunity to improve rather than a reason to quit. People who refuse responsibility often waste valuable time blaming circumstances, while those who embrace responsibility ask better questions. They ask, what can I learn from this? How can I improve? And what action should I take next? These questions create growth because they shift attention away from problems and towards solutions. There is remarkable freedom in no longer needing to blame others for your life. Blame keeps your focus on things beyond your control, but responsibility directs your energy toward what you can actually change. It teaches you that discipline is a choice, learning is a choice, persistence is a choice, and character is a choice. Even when the world feels unfair, these choices remain available. They cannot be taken away by failure, criticism, rejection, or difficult circumstances. They belong entirely to you, and that is where real power lives. Every decision you make is like placing another brick in the foundation of your future. Small daily choices often appear insignificant, yet they quietly shape the person you become. Choosing to wake up with purpose instead of procrastination, choosing to learn instead of complain, choosing to work instead of waiting, and choosing gratitude instead of resentment may seem like ordinary actions, but repeated consistently, they produce extraordinary results. Success is rarely built through one dramatic moment. It is built through thousands of responsible decisions made when no one is watching. When you embrace personal responsibility, you also gain emotional freedom. You stop allowing other people's opinions to define your worth. You stop giving past disappointments permission to control your present. You no longer measure your potential by your circumstances, but by your willingness to keep growing. Confidence begins to replace fear because every challenge becomes another opportunity to prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you once believed. Freedom is not found in having a perfect life. It is found in recognizing that your greatest power has always been your ability to choose your next step, your next attitude, and your next action. Regardless of what yesterday looked like, comfort has a quiet way of convincing people that staying where they are is safer than becoming who they are meant to be. It whispers that there will always be another day to begin, another opportunity to take the risk, and another reason to postpone the effort. At first, this voice seems harmless because it offers temporary relief from difficulty and uncertainty. But over time, comfort becomes a habit, and habits have the power to shape an entire life. The greatest dreams are rarely destroyed by dramatic failure. More often, they slowly fade because comfort repeatedly wins the battle against discipline. Success is not built on doing what feels easy in the moment. It is built on doing what is necessary, even when every part of you would rather choose convenience. Discipline is often misunderstood as punishment or restriction, but in reality, it is one of the greatest expressions of self-respect. It is the decision to honor your future more than your present emotions. Feelings change from one day to the next. Motivation rises and falls. Excitement comes and goes. If your progress depends only on how inspired you feel, your progress will always be inconsistent. Discipline creates stability because it allows your actions to remain steady even when your emotions are uncertain. It teaches you to keep moving forward, not because the journey is easy, but because the destination is worth every sacrifice. Every meaningful achievement demands something in return. It asks for early mornings when you would rather sleep. It asks for focused work when distractions seem more enjoyable. It asks for persistence when results are slow, and patience when success feels distant. These moments are where discipline quietly separates those who dream from those who achieve. While others wait for perfect conditions, disciplined people continue taking one step after another. They understand that consistency has greater power than occasional bursts of enthusiasm. Small efforts, repeated every single day, eventually become impossible to ignore. Comfort promises peace, but it often delivers regret. It protects you from temporary discomfort while quietly stealing long-term fulfillment. A person who avoids every challenge may experience fewer difficult moments today, but they also miss countless opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. Growth has never existed inside the boundaries of what feels familiar. Every new skill requires awkward beginnings. Every meaningful relationship requires vulnerability. Every great accomplishment requires persistence through uncertainty. The discomfort you experience while growing is temporary, but the strength you gain from it can last a lifetime. Discipline also builds trust in yourself. Every time you keep a promise you made to yourself, whether it is finishing a task, learning a new skill, or refusing to quit during a difficult season, you strengthen your confidence. Confidence is not created by repeating positive words in front of a mirror. It is created by proving through action that you can rely on yourself. The more consistently you act with discipline, the less control fear has over your decisions. You begin to realize that your greatest advantage is not natural talent or perfect circumstances, but your willingness to continue when others stopped. The world often celebrates the final victory while overlooking the countless disciplined moments that made it possible. Behind every successful person are ordinary days filled with repeated effort, quiet sacrifices, and unseen determination. They succeeded not because every day felt exciting, but because they refused to let temporary comfort interrupt permanent goals. They understood that greatness is built in private long before it is recognized in public. Every disciplined choice, no matter how small it seems, becomes another investment in a future that is stronger than the excuses and distractions of today. When discipline becomes part of your character, challenges no longer appear as barriers, but as opportunities to grow. Difficult work becomes meaningful because it shapes resilience. Setbacks become valuable because they develop patience. Delayed results become acceptable because you understand that lasting success is never rushed. You stop asking whether something is easy and start asking whether it is worthwhile. That simple shift changes everything because a life guided by discipline is no longer controlled by fleeting comfort, but by a clear vision of the person you are becoming. Fear has always stood at the entrance of every meaningful journey, asking one simple question: will you turn back or will you move forward? Most people believe courage is the absence of fear, but courage has never required fear to disappear. Courage is the decision to keep walking even when your hands are shaking, your confidence feels uncertain, and the outcome remains unknown. Every person who has achieved something extraordinary has faced moments when doubt seemed louder than hope. They did not succeed because life became easier. They succeeded because they refused to let fear make their decisions. Success belongs to those who understand that courage is not a feeling you wait for. It is a choice you make repeatedly, especially when circumstances suggest giving up. Life rarely unfolds according to perfect plans. There will be seasons filled with disappointment, unexpected loss, rejection, criticism, and failure. There will be days when your efforts seem invisible and your sacrifices appear meaningless. These moments test far more than your abilities. They test your willingness to continue believing in your purpose when external evidence offers little encouragement. Anyone can remain confident when everything is going well. True character is revealed when the road becomes difficult and every reason to quit begins demanding your attention. It is during these moments that courage becomes more valuable than comfort, because courage allows you to continue building your future, while fear keeps reminding you of your past. Circumstances have an incredible ability to influence the way people see themselves. A financial struggle can make someone believe they are destined to remain limited. A painful failure can convince a person that they are not capable enough. Harsh criticism can make someone question talents they once believed in. But circumstances are temporary, while identity is shaped by the choices you make in response to those circumstances. The strongest people do not deny their hardships, nor do they pretend life has treated them fairly. Instead, they refuse to allow temporary situations to become permanent definitions of who they are. They understand that storms may surround them, but those storms do not have the authority to determine where they are going. Every challenge carries within it an opportunity that cannot be discovered by standing still. Obstacles often force you to develop skills you would never have learned during comfortable times. Rejection teaches resilience. Failure teaches wisdom. Uncertainty teaches faith in your ability to adapt. Difficult seasons reveal strengths that remain hidden during easy ones. If every path were smooth, there would be little reason to grow. It is resistance that develops endurance, just as pressure transforms ordinary materials into something stronger and more valuable. The people who eventually inspire the world are rarely those who avoided hardship. They are those who allowed hardship to shape them without allowing it to break them. Courage is demonstrated through ordinary decisions as much as extraordinary ones. It is found in speaking when silence would be easier. It is found in beginning again after disappointment, in believing after rejection, in trying once more after failure, and in remaining faithful to your vision when no one else can yet see it. These moments may seem small, but they gradually build an unshakable spirit. Every courageous decision strengthens the belief that you are capable of facing whatever comes next. Over time, courage becomes less about dramatic acts and more about consistent determination. There will always be reasons to wait. There will always be circumstances that appear unfavorable, challenges that seem overwhelming, and voices that encourage you to settle for less than your potential. If you allow every obstacle to decide your direction, your future will always depend on forces beyond your control. But when courage becomes stronger than circumstance, your path is no longer determined by what happens to you. It is determined by how faithfully you continue moving toward your purpose. The greatest victories are not won because the road was free of obstacles. They are won because someone chose to keep walking long after fear insisted that the journey should end. Every remarkable achievement begins with a single action, not a perfect action, not a flawless plan, and not the guarantee of success, but one deliberate step taken in the direction of a meaningful goal. Many people spend their lives waiting for certainty before they begin. They wait until they have more confidence, more knowledge, more resources, or more favorable circumstances. Yet certainty rarely comes before action. It is action that creates clarity, builds confidence, and reveals possibilities that could never be seen from the safety of standing still. The future is not shaped by intentions alone. It is shaped by the decisions you make today and the willingness to act on them, even when the outcome remains uncertain. Dreams are powerful because they give life direction, but dreams without action eventually become regrets. A vision that is never pursued slowly loses its energy until it becomes another story of what might have been. The difference between those who admire success and those who achieve it is often much smaller than people imagine. It is not always greater intelligence, extraordinary talent, or exceptional luck. More often, it is the simple habit of taking consistent action while others remain trapped in endless preparation. Progress belongs to those who understand that movement, no matter how small, is always more valuable than perfect intentions left untouched. Every action carries the ability to change more than the present moment. A single decision to read instead of scrolling through distractions can expand your knowledge. A single conversation can create an unexpected opportunity. A single hour of focused work can move a project closer to completion. These moments may appear insignificant when viewed individually, but over weeks, months, and years, they combine to shape an entirely different future. Great accomplishments are rarely the result of one extraordinary effort. They are the outcome of countless ordinary actions performed with extraordinary consistency. Action also has the remarkable power to silence fear. Fear grows strongest in hesitation because the mind fills empty space with imagined failure. The longer you delay, the larger the challenge appears. But once you begin, fear gradually loses its influence because your attention shifts from imagining obstacles to solving them. Every completed task, every lesson learned, and every small victory reminds you that you are capable of more than you previously believed. Confidence does not appear before action. It grows because of action. It is earned through experience, strengthened through persistence, and protected through consistency. There will always be moments when your efforts seem unnoticed. Results may arrive more slowly than expected, and progress may feel invisible. During these seasons, many people become discouraged because they measure success only by immediate outcomes. Yet lasting success often develops beneath the surface long before it becomes visible. Every disciplined action strengthens your character. Every challenge overcome increases your resilience. Every setback faced with determination sharpens your wisdom. Even when external rewards are delayed, internal growth continues. The work you do today is preparing you for opportunities you cannot yet see. The future is never created in one dramatic moment. It is quietly built through daily choices that either move you closer to your purpose or further away from it. Each morning presents another opportunity to choose growth instead of comfort, persistence instead of excuses, and commitment instead of procrastination. No action rooted in purpose is ever wasted. Even mistakes become valuable because they provide lessons that guide wiser decisions in the future. The important thing is not to avoid every failure, but to refuse to stop moving because of it. One day you will look back and realize that your life was shaped less by the extraordinary moments and more by the ordinary decisions you made when no one was watching. The willingness to begin when conditions were imperfect, to continue when motivation disappeared, and to remain faithful when progress felt slow became the foundation upon which every success was built. The future does not arrive as a gift waiting to be discovered. It is crafted day by day through every choice, every effort, and every courageous action taken in the present until the life you once imagined becomes the life you are living